development. Similarly, in Russia, in next year in Moscow, there is a girl saying, "I want to be brilliant," and the mom saying, "No, you should not. You should be brilliant as a mouse, big as a mouse. Don't aspire to be notable because you become a target of Putin." So, several countries currently, and the Western countries are posing sanctions to Russia because the way he is, because of the Ukrainian war. And several countries have used to punish firms who deal with firms which go against their very principles, like, for example, exploiting labor and so on. So you said there are two dimensions to approach India and Russia. One is the ideas, the other is interest. You said you want to get closer economically to, India should go closer to China. But how about ideas? How do you expect to deal with it? Mostly because India, I guess, is a pivotal country currently. If India will actually really get close to these economies, the world will change a lot.
No, I'm not of the view that India should necessarily get closer to China. I don't think that. But look, from our perspective, each country has their way of doing things, right? We don't like to opine on how they should run their system. I don't think it's my place to come to Colombia and start advising you on how I think you should run your system. I can have a view on our system, on our way of doing things, but the Indian idea is not to go to places, not to go to Russia and say, listen, you guys now, we don't like how you're running your country, or to go to America and say, sorry, you're not treating people nicely. We don't like doing that. We understand that each culture has a perspective. People have different ways of doing things, and people should decide how they do things, right? So we don't like interfering in the internal perspectives and ideologies of different countries. We have a set of values which we generally believe in. We do not like the idea of aggression. We do not like the idea of violence. But we also understand that there are times when violence happens and aggression happens, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, as far as Russia is concerned, we have a very long-standing relationship with them. We have a relationship with them in the military sphere, and we've got a deep, long-standing relationship with them. So for us, Russia is also a valuable partner, right? And we feel that we can manage the United States and Russia and other people and manage our relationships with them. We don't like the fact that a war is taking place in Ukraine. We don't like it for the fact that thousands and thousands of people are dying in Ukraine, and we do hope that that war ends soon. But we are not in the habit of going and telling people how they should run their country.
Una pregunta. Házmela en español para ver si
No, I can do it in English as well.
in English.
Not a problem. First of all, thanks to University for the invitation, and welcome to Medellin and Colombia as well. My name is Sergio Escobar. I'm the executive director.
If he does it in Spanish and then the lady just translates it in English.
Sí, que la puedes hacer en español y la traductora la traduce, sin problema.
On the mic.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it cuts
Bienvenida.
off. What I mean is that if she can do it on the mic, after he speaks on the mic itself.
The problem is that she is over there. Yeah.
Let me try again.
English, Spanish?
Spanish.
Okay.
Do it in English.
English.
Let's keep it safe.
All right.
But by the way, I understand Spanish, but I'm not 100% certain. So
That's important that you don't understand Spanish, because it's that question. The United States is becoming year by year so weak just on political and economical matters, not military. But Are India and China ready to take that leadership for the world in the next 50 years?
Look, I don't know about China, but I don't think India sees itself as taking leadership in the world. I don't think that's not our model, right? We are a large country, and we believe in having a partnership. And we do not, sorry, but we are not arrogant enough to believe that we should lead the world, right? Every country has its own perspective, every region has its own perspective, and I think there is a lot of scope for working together and a lot of scope for partnership. But the idea that India is going to lead the world, I don't think that is how India views itself. Maybe the Chinese think differently on this. But India, I don't think, has an intention to one day lead the world. We understand that we are a big country, a large country, and we have a weight. We understand that we have a responsibility. We understand that we should behave in a particular way. And of course, we want prosperity for our people. We want our people to succeed. We want our people to work. But I don't think we see ourselves as leading the world.
There is another question over there. Here.
Yes.
And then there, and then over there.
Okay, you explained very clearly how the empires are created during transitions, energy transitions, and explained very well about steam, coal, and oil and combustion engines, and now electricity. However, if you check the statistics, you see that China is importing year after year more coal, and now is the first coal consumer in the world, actually accounts for half of the consumption of coal in the world. Whereas Western and European countries are reducing coal consumption. So I can see clearly how China is going to he's taking advantage of this change because he's not changing the way he produces electricity. He's changing the way the electricity is consumed. So reducing oil consumption it's not reducing actually, because electricity must be provided some way, and China is producing electricity from coal more than any other country in the world. So half of the consumption, if you add the consumption of coal in the world, just add to the consumption of China coal. So maybe that's an advantage for a short time. But after a while, when more countries develop on photovoltaic, wind, hydropower, and nuclear power, China will be behind in a short time. What do you think about that?
Currently, if you look at wind and photovoltaic, it's all Chinese technology. Pretty much all solar panels are made in China. Pretty much all the motors that go into wind turbines are made in China, right? That's the first point. But see, it is correct that China is using a lot of coal. It is also correct that China is using a huge amount of energy for production, right? America is using a lot of energy for consumption, but America is not producing this speaker, this. And all this requires energy. And a lot of the energy that China is using right now is coal. China also has huge plans in the hydroelectric space, has huge plans in the solar space, wind space, and decentralized pebble reactors, right? So they are making that transition. The point I was making about the electric motor is that it is a completely different way to move, right? So for example, interesting question. Why does a motorcycle weigh 100 kilos and a car weigh 3,000? To carry one passenger, you need 3,000 kilos of metal in a car, if one passenger is driving a car. And a motorcycle has 100 kilos, carries two passengers. So why is a motorcycle able to carry 2 passengers with 150 kilos of metal and a car needs 3,000? This question is at the center of the transition to electric. So what do you think the answer is? Engineering students. Yeah. But why does the car
Porfa,
need the
las
structure?
preguntas con el micrófono para que todos en el auditorio podamos escuchar. En un momento te la llevamos.
May I answer your question?
Yeah,
Because if you account for the weight of a battery car is much more than a petrol car.
No,
Much heavier.
my question is, what is it about the car that requires 3,000 kilos of metal? And the answer is, it's the engine. Because it's the engine that kills you on impact, right? And the motorcycle is light because the engine disappears from you when you have an accident, right?
Every time the engines in motorcycles are heavier and heavier. If you see,
Yeah.
the power in motorcycles nowadays are becoming heavier, are higher than older motorcycles.
But in a motorcycle, when you have an impact, the engine is separated from you. So the engine doesn't hurt you. Whereas in a car, when you have an impact, the engine comes into the car. So the entire car is designed to stop the engine from killing you. The electric motor breaks that centralized energy system. The electric motor allows you to put a motor there, put a motor there, put a motor there, put a motor there. So the electric motor is a decentralization of power. And that's really its effectiveness, right? You can simply not get a drone to fly. You know those quadcopters? You simply cannot get a drone to fly with 4 engines. It'll just tear itself to pieces, right? So circular motion is a completely different way of moving. It's a much more effective, much more powerful way of moving. And circular motion is now there in robots, because robots are all electric motors. It is there in drones, and it is there in cars, right? So what I'm talking about is a revolution in mobility. Sorry?
The battery's weight is higher than the engine's weight.
Yeah, absolutely. But the battery does not, the battery does not kill the passenger, because the battery is under the passenger. The engine is right in front of the passenger. So the structure of the car, electric car, and the structure of the internal combustion car are completely different. But the main point I'm making is that we are moving now from the world of the internal combustion engine to the world of the motor. We're moving from the world of, we are moving to the world of the drone, which is an even more effective demonstrator of circular motion. And then further effective, more effective is the robot. A robot is essentially hundreds of motors put together. And that's the space where China is ahead of us. Now, how they are powering that is problematic today. But they are going to try and change the way they power that in the future, right? But once you have the architecture of mobility, then you've sealed the game. So once the United States has the architecture of mobility in the internal combustion engine, and once it has the resources and controls the petrol economy, the game is over. And that's really the fight that is taking place. China is locking up the game for circular motion. And they've locked it up in motors already. They've locked it up in batteries. They're locking it up in optics. And they're also locking in the entire value chain of the battery. And that for us is problematic.
I'm taking 2 more questions and no more because I have to close. I am doing the bad cop here. So here's one question and the other question is over there, the guy with the pink shirt, close to Felipe.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahul, for the wonderful speech. I have a question. It's more on geopolitics. We understand the future is today with the technologies, whatever is happening, it's good. But like looking at the geopolitics of the world, slowly right wing is taking control of the world, I would see. Like Europe, there are like a lot of protest against the immigration. In US, it is happening. Australia as well is joining the party. So given that, like, I would like to understand, haven't we learnt our history well? My understanding is like, we are like slowly going towards the era of a Second World War or the First World War. And my understanding is like, right wings are more dominating than left wings. Even with all due respect, even in India, that's what is happening. So it's like polarizing people, showing a common enemy that like he is your common enemy. He is taking away all the things from you. So how to reverse this, or like how to make it better for the future?
We are in a transition. We're in a transition from one energy system to another. We're in a transition where a superpower is being challenged. We're in a transition where the financial system of that superpower is being challenged, where the military system of that superpower is being challenged. So it is going to be a turbulent time. There is going to be, unfortunately, there is going to be violence. Now, the question is, can we reduce it? How to reduce it? And in these transitions, where are the opportunities, right? How can countries position themselves to take advantage of a revolution in circular motion? How can a country position itself to take advantage of robotics, etc., etc.? But I do feel that we are entering an unstable time, right? And of course, I don't necessarily think that right-wing parties are here to come to stay. I think this is also transitional. You'll have changes from right-wing to left-wing, and we can see that. I think here you have a left of center party, if I'm not mistaken. So it's different countries, different sort of political formations. But the central thing where I would agree with you is that we are entering an unpleasant time, And so if you're prepared for that unpleasant time, if you're prepared for the disruptions that are coming, you are likely to find opportunities. The other thing that I would say is that, and this I've seen in my politics also, that what used to work 10 years ago does not work anymore, right? Even in politics, the way we used to connect to people does not work. You have to connect to people completely differently. For nation states, you have to imagine completely differently. You have to imagine a new future. You have to think of changes in a completely different way. So for young people, it's a very exciting time. And I think countries like Colombia have certain advantages, where they can maneuver in these spaces. Thank you.
Having one student question and the other one from the pink shirt.
Okay. First of all, this electric transition has been taking part for quite a while, actually. It started with small vehicles, then motorcycles, then microcars, then cars, then trucks, then trains. Now, the next step would be, I guess, boats, then planes, and later probably even things to take us to outer space, maybe, or something. And the other is, besides the countries already mentioned, what countries do you think that have the potential to become regional or even global powers in the next coming decades, Mr. Gandhi?
Countries that understand their regional balance well, and countries that connect regionally well and become useful nodes in the region will do well, right? So for that, you have to have an understanding of what is around you. You have to have a flexible perspective. There are countries that you can already see they are beginning to transform themselves. It's visible, right? Certain small countries might do well as well, right? Singapore is a very flexible country. it manages quite well. You can see that, for example, of course, India has a huge opportunity in its region. China will do well. Country like Turkey, you can see is expanding its power. So there are certainly countries. Brazil is another example that is doing well. South Africa is doing well. So there are these countries that understand how to connect globally and regionally. And I think that's powerful. And on the electric front, of course, it's true that circular motion, electric motion has been going on for a long time. But it's now reaching a critical level, critical mass. And I can't really predict how it will go, but certainly it seems that it's going to be a big part of the future geopolitics. I mean, we're already seeing it in our legislation. We're seeing it in the legislation of many countries, that these technologies need to be sort of controlled and taken care of.
Last but not least question.
Okay, thank you. So more than a question, I would say that if maybe you can give us a final message. And taking notes, you set a parallel between the production, whether it's AI or electric engines, and also the consumption. And as you said, for example, in this part of the world, very influenced by the USA, we are very good at the consumption, whether it's the social network or the electric vehicles. And here in Antioquia, especially in Medellin, we are being recognized for being an industrial territory. And the youth, some part of the youth, I will not say that most of the youth, are very good at the consumption, especially in the digital world. So there is a trend that maybe you can get rich in 2 or 3 years by being influencer or being the digital lord. And during your conference, you are saying how the manufacturing and how to create jobs, it's important. So it's not a question, but maybe a final message for us and for the youth to show us how important also is to create jobs, whether it's not very disruptive or innovative, but I think that we are very focused on the consumption, but we need to change our chip and see how can we start producing.
You know, somebody yesterday asked me, why have you come to Colombia? It's very important in the 21st century to understand and observe different cultures, because you never know how you can connect or how and where you will connect with somebody until you actually go there. Because for me to say, well, sitting in India, that this is how I'll connect with Colombia, or this is how I'll, this is the type of relationship I'll have with Colombia, doesn't work. So being open to other cultures, regardless of how big or small they are, is very important, because you never know where value lies. For the people who are doing the influencer bit, I mean, my personal view is enjoy yourselves, but please do not rely on that, because that stuff is going to disappear, right? This is temporary. This is a temporary phenomena. Make sure that you have some resilient skill that you can depend on, that is useful. And the more specialized, the more unique your capability is, I think the easier it is going to be for you. So if you're a doctor, make sure that you have some specialization that nobody else has, because you're probably the first generation that can sell that skill anywhere on the planet. You don't have to sell it just in Colombia, you can sell it anywhere you want. So you have the tools for massive marketing, massive projection, but you do need that one or two or three skills that make you unique. I have a big social media presence. I would not rely on that thing. That thing is a lot of fluff. Be careful. So that's how I would say. If you're doing manufacturing here in Medellin, that's excellent, and I wish you all the best. I hope you're successful, and come and see what we are doing in India, and maybe we can work together on it. Thank
Muchas
you very
gracias,
much.
Mr. Gandhi. Muchas gracias por su presencia. Thank you very much for being here. As I said before, it was an honor to have you. I think that you gave us a lot of extraordinary insights and wisdom for us.